and welcome to the Micro Show. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Anna.
Coming up in our show...
Oh wait! We're going to have breaking news about redox reactions in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll go to Barrett for this information on the situation.
Okay, we have a breaking news story here. Thank you, Rachel. We're getting reports in here at the Micro Show about oil rigs off the coast in the Gulf of Mexico with strong smells of rotten eggs. That's right, folks, rotten eggs. We're being told that the swamps along the east coast, along with some strong winds prevailing south, are creating this smell. Those in the area tell me that this is due to the reduction reactions of sulfate gases in the swamps. Apparently, as the sulfate is reduced to sulfide, the sulfur gains electrons. Now, as in my undergraduate studies at Brigham Young University, I studied a little bit of microbiology. And in order to get rid of the smell, they said that you need to oxidize the sulfur by draining the swamp, which would make the sulfur lose electrons. For those suffering, however, just remember the acronym OIL RAID. Oxidation involves losing, and reduction involves gain. Back to you, Anna and Rachel.
We'll be sure to keep you updated on the situation throughout the show.
Now back to the show. Have you ever wondered what the secret is to a good omelet? Well, it may be more scientific than you think. To show us more about the science of the omelet, we'll head over to our chef expert, Mrs. Julia Child. How are you, Julia?
Oh, I'm doing positively splendid. How are you doing?
Very well. So tell us, Julia, what is the trick to making a perfect omelet?
Well, I discovered the secret when I was in France studying the culinary arts and microbiology. As it so happens, eggs are made of the most almost pure protein and enzymes, and as a result are very sensitive to temperature.
Why exactly is that, Julia?
Enzymes have very sensitive shapes that are influenced very heavily by temperature. The optimum temperature for enzymes in the body is 37 degrees Celsius, as they would say in France, while here in the States, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Any temperature too high over that temperature of 98.6 degrees will cause the enzyme to denature.
So what does this denaturing have to do with our omelet, Julia?
Excellent question. In order to make an omelette, we have to permanently denature the protein by cooking it at a temperature greater than 98.6 degrees. So I'll just crack an egg into this pan here, and let's just watch it sizzle for a moment. See how that egg there is turning from clear to white? That is the protein in the enzymes denaturing at a temperature much higher than the temperature found in the body. Oh, it's turning into a delicious omelette. I must have a taste.
Oh, that looks delicious, Julia. You mentioned pH earlier. How does that factor into all of this?
Yes, I nearly forgot. Just like the heat denatured the enzyme and turned it into a lovely omelette, decreasing the pH by adding an acid will do the same. But I wouldn't recommend cooking your omelettes in that fashion because the acid would also burn your insides all the way down your throat and give you a dreadful stomachache.
Oh yes, let's avoid that. Any final tips for our viewers?
Just remember that enzymes and proteins thrive at optimum temperatures and pH levels. Placing enzymes outside of those ranges will either decrease their activity or denature them into tasty, tasty omelettes.
Thank you so much for your time, Julia.
You're so welcome. My name is Julia Child, and bon appetit.
Isn't she just great?
She really is.
Is your love life suffering? If so, you might want to pay attention to these useful tips from our very own Dr. Valentine.
Thank you. We're going to give you some special tips on how to get the love of your life.
Allow me to introduce enzyme and substrate. Now, as we know, enzymes increase the likelihood that certain events will happen. The first step in this process is the binding of the complementary active site on the enzyme with the functional site of the substrate. This results in a slight conformational change of the enzyme and a lowering of activation energy. In the case of a catabolic reaction, bonds within the substrate are broken, after which the enzyme and substrate dissociate, allowing the enzyme to return to its original conformation and the substrate products to diffuse away.
Now, this process is not as uncomplicated as it seems.
Enzymatic activity is also influenced by inhibitors. There are two types, non-competitive and competitive. Non-competitive inhibitors bind to an allosteric site on the enzyme, which changes the conformation of the active site, preventing the normal substrate from binding. Competitive inhibitors interact directly with the enzyme's active site, sometimes permanently, thus preventing the substrate from doing the same. Substrate concentrations and enzyme concentrations also act to determine the rate and outcome of enzymatic reactions. As substrate concentration increases, enzymatic activity also increases, and more enzyme active sites bind more and more substrate molecules. This principle holds true for enzyme concentrations as well. Now, substrate, don't get discouraged by the seemingly overwhelming odds. You'll find your Prince enzyme someday. And remember, you can never go wrong with baked goods. Back to you, Rachel and Anna.
Thank you for those tips, Dr. Valentine. We hope they will help our viewers find happiness in their love lives.
Coming up in the next hour, look out for the tropical storm of cellular respiration. Thank you for watching.